my friends. Time once again for another scary story from Captain Longstreet's Halloween Tales. Tonight's story is a true story told to you by Colonel Kensington, who experienced this one himself. It's called The Bleeding Sink, and sometimes it's best to pay attention to urban legends, because they just might be true.
Good evening, fellow viewers. This is Colonel Kensington, and tonight I am going to relay a true story, one that happened to me personally back in my college days, in the days of my youth. The name of this story is called The Bleeding Sink. Yes, The Bleeding Sink. You know, I found it extremely annoying that one of the bathrooms on my dorm was permanently closed. Especially since this cause was an urban legend, they say. Yes, an urban legend, I tell you. According to the story, years and years ago, some bloke got himself massively drunk at a bar in downtown Helena, Montana, and passed out in the bathroom on the 4th floor. And apparently he hit his head on the sink as he fell, and his blood had splattered on the sink as he slid senselessly to the floor and silently hemorrhaged to death. His death was considered a sad accident by the faculty and staff and the townspeople. But that was no reason to shut up the bathroom for decades. I completely discounted the story of the bleeding sink. That was just an urban legend the students circulated to explain the locked door. Oh, I'm sick of standing in the bathroom with you disgusting lot, I grumbled to my roommate. I'm going to break into the 4th floor bathroom. Oh, well, my roommate, his eyes widened, and he said, "Don't you know that bathroom is haunted?" He exclaimed, "The bloodstains on the sink are fresh today as they were when the accident happened back in the 1950s. No, you can't go in there. Sometimes you can hear the boy moaning as his life ebbs away on the bathroom floor." "Oh, romantic twaddle," I snapped. "My granny lives in a haunted castle in Scotland with ghost stories that would make your hair stand on end." She'd laugh at me if she found out I ignored a perfectly good bathroom because of a few blood stains. Well, besides the maintenance staff, told me the bathroom was shut up, pending renovations. It was no big deal. "You'll be sorry," my roommate said very darkly. I ignored him. He was just sore because I'd lumped him in with the disgusting lot of fellows who mucked up the bathroom on my floor. You'd think someone would have taught them to pick up their dirty clothes and underwear and clean the sink once in a while. Well, when the dorm quieted down for the night, which wasn't until late, I hurried up to the 4th floor with a bit of wire I'd purchased at a local hardware store. My little brother and I had become expert lock pickers over the years, since my mother had a nasty habit of locking her keys in the house or the car at least once a week. With that, I experienced the lock on the bathroom gave way with no problems. The bathroom was rather old-fashioned in appearance and had a disused air. There was dust in the corners and a spider web drooped from the ceiling, but I heard no unearthly groaning or mysterious footsteps. I carefully inspected the sink. The walls and the floor, other than the smallish orange discoloration on the sink, there was no blood anywhere. "So much for the urban legend," I said to myself. Well, there was probably something in the water that caused the discoloration over time. I turned the tap on experimentally, assured that the maintenance staff had long ago shut the water off. But to my surprise, water gushed forth instantly. I smiled. Well, it looked like I had a bathroom to myself after all. I carefully locked the door behind me when I left. I got up to the next morning and downstairs bathroom all to myself again. So it wasn't until evening, when everyone was back in the dorm crowding in and out of the bathrooms, that I slipped away to use the locked-up facilities. It was still early in the evening, and I made sure no one was around. Well, with a few twists and turns, I opened the door. But this time, the smell was different. The temperature in the room fell by 20 degrees, and there was a harsh, strong, pungent smell of fresh blood. A second later, I saw the blood-splattered sink. Bright red gold was everywhere, on the porcelain on the walls, oozing down the sides of the sink. And hovering before it, his feet a good 6 inches off the ground, was the luminous form of a college-age boy wearing old-fashioned clothes in the style of the 1950s. His forehead had a disfiguring dent smoshed into it, and there was blood dripping all around and down his face. As I gaped at him, horrified, and frozen in terror, he turned and looked at me. Then he held out a blood-stained hand. His eyes were desperate, pleading for help, and I heard a low moaning sound coming from between the blood-stained lips. The sound raised every hair on my body and made the skin prickle in sheer cold horror. I backpedaled fiercely, my legs scrambling to get away, and my eyes popped out of his head as I fixed on the ghost of the bloody sink. A drop of red blood fell from the outstretched hand, and I stared at him. Then the momentum of my legs carried me through the door, which slammed shut behind me, and the hot, pungent smell of fresh blood followed me through the halls and down the staircase until I was outside in the chilly air of autumn, breathing deeply. I lay on the grass for a long time, ignoring the chill in the air. This was a natural chill, which comforted, not that unnatural chill that had frightened my senses upstairs. I breathed in and out, and looked up at the clear expanse of the sky. But I felt reluctant to go back inside that haunted building. I shuddered once more from head to toe. Oh, how my granny would laugh if she knew her big brave grandson was too scared to go back inside a haunted dormitory. It was the thought of Granny that got me to my feet and upstairs to my room. But I didn't care what Granny or anyone else thought of me. I was never going back inside that bathroom again. Once was enough, and the bathroom stays locked to this very day.